My high-ticket coaching clients and I have generated over $2 million online, and in this video, I'm going to show you the exact seven-figure sales call formula that we use to actually get there. Now, by the end of this, you're going to understand how to use this in your specific industry, why your closing rate sucks, how to get less objections, and how you can actually close more deals. Now, for those of you guys that have no clue who I am, my name is Brian Quickington, and I help tons of different high-ticket coaches, consultants, and agency owners completely scale their businesses on autopilot. Like Liam, an online fitness coach, who I helped him 8x his revenue from 5 to 40K per month completely on autopilot and open up a private gym. Or Ashton Wilson, a client making 130K per month who's actually one of Go High Level's partners, completely nurture and scale his leads completely on autopilot. There's also 17.5x ROAS, 10K days, and tons of others. Now, what we're actually going to go over is the entire A to Z of this exact formula, and at the end, I'm going to end it with all the different common mistakes that I see tons of different people make on their sales calls, so you don't make that as well. So the first one is building rapport and pre-frame. Now, what this is just the very, very beginning of the call. And I know some of you guys already know this, but trust me, please make sure to listen because this is super, super crucial. Now, the first thing, the two biggest objectives of actually building the rapport and having a pre-frame is to show that you're human, but also to establish authority and set expectations for the call. So you don't want to waste your time on the typical, how's the weather today? Oh yeah, it's sunny out, isn't it? No, just be yourself. Be human. So I'll just ask, like, where'd you say you're calling from again, man? And they'll be like, oh, blank. And I'm like, oh, nice. How you doing? They'll tell me that they're doing well. How are you? And I'll be like, hey, I'm going to be honest, man. I've got a crazy headache today. But other than that, man, I've been onboarding some clients and doing pretty well. Is it cool if we get right into it, my man? And boom, we get right into it. So just be yourself. Do a little bit of 1 minute, maybe 2 minutes of just some rapport building. Show that you're human. Say you've got a headache. Say you've been busy. Say the traffic was crazy earlier today. Just relate to them, right? And then get right into your pre-frame. Set the intention of the call. Make sure that they understand you're an authority and they know exactly what to expect. So a kind of a script that would look like is, listen, my main goal by the end of this call is to understand whether or not this is even a good fit for us to work together. So I'm going to ask you some questions, dig into your current situation, and if I genuinely feel that I know we can help you, we can potentially explore what that looks like. If not, I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time. I'll just send you off the call. Does that sound good to you, man? Boom. That shows that your time is valuable, you respect their time, and it gives them an idea, an agenda of what to look forward to throughout this actual call. So that's the first part, the report and pre-frame. Don't spend too much time on talking about the weather and just be concise, to the point, and let them know what to expect. Now, that brings me to the second one, which is your current analysis, their current analysis. We need to understand, before we can sell somebody absolutely anything, whether you're in the fitness coaching space or anything, before you can actually take their money and help them with a service, you need to understand their current situation and what they even need help with. So with that being said, the main goal is understand their current situation in detail to see if you even can help them, right? Think of it as like when you go to the doctor's office, right? They don't know exactly what your issue is, therefore they can't prescribe you a solution. Same exact thing goes in your sales call. You need to understand their current situation, right? Because when you understand exactly what they're struggling with, only then can you actually diagnose them and prescribe them with your service or your product, which is the solution, right? So just understand where they're currently at. Ask them their current questions. So first of all, what made you hop on this call today? It's very broad. They're going to give you a whole bunch of information. Oh, I'm struggling with XYZ. Oh, I'm just shopping around. Oh, I just saw this. And be like, well, okay, gotcha. Well, curious, just so I know like where you're at compared to kind of where you want to get to, what is your current age, height, and weight right now? Right? If you're in the fitness coaching space, you would ask that question, get an understanding of exactly where they're at. Then be like, well, what have you tried so far? Why do you think those things haven't worked? What's your current routine like? What's your current process? If someone's telling me they're really busy, I'd be like, okay, well, how busy are you? What does your typical day-to-day look like? Got it. Now, the entire point of this is just treat it like you're talking to a friend. If your friend wanted some fitness advice or marketing advice or something, whatever you do in your niche, I'm sure you would probably just see if you can even help them by asking them like where they're at, right? Don't overthink it. Just talk to them like you're their friend and you genuinely care and you genuinely want to help them. And you'll find that you're going to naturally do a lot of the parts within this framework, actually. You're already going to ask them the questions, etc. So ask them the key questions of where they're currently at. What's their age, their height, their weight? If you're in the fitness space, what are you currently doing? What's your diet look like? How many workouts are you doing? What gym do you go to? What do you like about that? Blah, blah, blah. Now, the next one is we need to understand what their desired state is. Because the biggest thing is if someone's already 100% satisfied with where they're at right now, why the heck would they even want to work with you, right? So we need to understand that there's where they're at right now, but then there's this gap and this bridge over to the next portion of where they want to get to, right? So we need to make sure that there's this gap and this bridge between their current situation and their desired state, right? And the way that we do this is by further understanding exactly what that desired state looks like. So, with that being said, is we want to understand exactly where they want to get to. So, curious, man, I know right now you're at about 200 pounds. I know you said you want to, lose some weight and stuff, but like, genuinely, what do you want? Like 6 months down the line, what do you want to get to? And they're like, oh, I would love to be at like 170. Got it. Okay. Now, the biggest thing is when you understand where someone wants to get to, what's super, super important is to understand why they want to get there. Because if someone just tells you they want to make a certain amount of money or they want to get to a certain weight, why do they want that? No one buys off of strictly just a number, right? Just a number. But like, what's actually different? Like, why do they actually want that? So one of the most important things that I've noticed that have completely helped me close more deals is understanding that when someone tells me what they want to get to, is I learn the backstory behind it. So this is exactly how I actually frame that. So, I mean, obviously some questions could be like, how would things be different in your life? What would that allow you to do? Why is this even important for you? You're just building that emotional gap. But for example, with my clients is I only take on a certain number of them at a time. So if I ask someone like, what is your main goal? And they tell me they want to hit 50K per month. I'll be like, okay, yeah, definitely doable, man. But listen, something that I need to be honest with you, man, is I'm not taking on absolutely everyone right now. And I'm very selective with who I take on genuinely. I'm a very avid believer that the reason why you want something is much more important than the thing itself. So for me, I want to scale my business to take care of my family and give my close loved ones the experiences that I maybe lacked or didn't have and want to provide. So I'm curious with you, man, like at the 50K per month, why do you want to get there? Like what's really behind that? Are you trying to provide for some family? What is it? And now they're going to give you the real deep down reason. And you can actually use this later in the call. So it's understanding exactly what someone really deep down wants and why they actually want it. Because when you understand that, it's like way more emotion in the sale, and you fully understand that. So that's the biggest thing. We need to make sure that we establish a gap between their current situation, their desired state, and by doing this, you ask the strategic questions of essentially just understanding, so where do you want to get to? Why is that important for you? If you were already at that level, like what are things that are going to be different in your life? So when you do actually get down to 170 pounds, like what's different, man? Like why 170? And they're like, oh, I'm going to feel so much better walking up the stairs. Things are just going to be so much better in my life. Honestly, I'll just feel much better. I'll be able to breathe easier, etc. Now, after that, the next step is we need to actually, let me see. One second. Perfect. All right. The next step is we need to pitch the deliverables. Okay. Now that we understand the intentions of the call, the report, we have a current analysis of their current situation, we have the desired state in which where they actually want to get to. The next thing is actually pitching the deliverables of our program. Now, that doesn't mean just going over, oh, well, the first thing is we're going to put you on this workout plan that's going to make you go into hypertrophy and you're going to have to do these workouts X, Y, Z. No one cares. No one cares. All people care about is that you understand their situation, you can help them, and they're going to feel better than they do right now, and they understand how you do that. And here's exactly how you can get that across. Don't expert dump. Like I just said, don't talk about all the expert stuff that they don't understand. They do not care. So instead, you can use emotional ties and like outcome-based framing using this format, which is essentially you restate the problem they told you, the emotional struggle that was tied to it, tie that into how someone else had the exact same issue, show how your solution worked for them, and then just tie in your deliverables based on their specific life. So for example, this is something called feel, felt, found. I totally understand how you feel. In fact, a lot of my clients felt the exact same way, and what we found worked best was blank. feel, felt, found. What you need to do is if someone, let's say the fitness coaching industry, just because it's a very easy example, tells you that they really, really struggle with not actually having the time to go to the gym and understanding what to do when they get there. I'd be like, it's funny you say that. I totally understand that right now you're really struggling with, I guess, just not really understanding what to do in the gym and not finding the time of day, which is frustrating, like you mentioned, and you're not really getting those results. In fact, a lot of the clients I work with felt the exact same way. What we found worked best was, as far as our workout portion of the program goes, is we actually build you a step-by-step of everything you need to do, so that way there's no guesswork. But the difference is, honestly, you only have to go to the gym like 3 or 4 times per week. And what we do is we look at your schedule first to understand where you can be more efficient with your time, and we put the workouts in there so that way you don't have to waste unnecessary time. You know exactly what to do, and it's on the days where you're not really working as much, so that way it doesn't feel like a massive task. And what we found actually works with this is people are able to stay more consistent. They're able to really actually get the results, and it doesn't really mess up their day-to-day schedule. In fact, sometimes they even end up being able to work more on their business because they just have that time set aside properly to put into the workouts. Does that make sense? And that is how you say it. Not, I'm going to build you a workout plan where we're going to focus a lot on your biceps and hypertrophy, because what's going to happen is we're going to tear your muscle fibers and then repump that with protein, and we're basically going to expand your glycogen storages by eating carbs right after the... No, they don't care about any of that. Use this formula. Restate their problem, an emotional struggle, tie it into someone else who had the same exact issue, show how your solution worked for them and how they felt, and then just tie that into your deliverables. So you do that for each deliverable. If your program is workouts, nutrition, and accountability, restate back to them what they told you was the issue with their workouts. Say, relate to them of how other people felt the exact same way. And essentially, when you do this, you're going to show that you understand them and that you've genuinely helped other people in the past. Now, something that's also really important is after you establish this gap, right, before you get right into pitching the deliverables, what's extremely important is restate, my handwriting is terrible on this, just bear with me, is restate everything back to them. Because before I pitch it, I'd be like, okay, so just, Steve, just to make sure I've got this correct me if I'm wrong. Right now, you're about 5'6", 200 pounds. You've tried different workouts in the past. Right now, you're very struggling because you don't really have the time of the day. You don't really know what to do at the gym. The gym's pretty far away from you. And ideally, you just genuinely want to get to the point where you're 170 pounds to provide for your kids and just show up better for your wife and just feel a bit better. Is that about right? And they're like, yes. And see, because you want to make sure that they feel heard and understood. And when you do this, you're going to show that you're actually listening. You're going to show that you care. And you can utilize each of those statements they said back when you're pitching your deliverables. Okay? So now, the next step. We're almost done here. We're already halfway through the formula. And I promise, if you follow this formula, this is going to help you tremendously. Most people don't really know exactly what to do in a sales call. But instead of following a very, very tight script, just follow these different systems, right? These different frameworks within the whole formula, and it's going to help you a lot. Now, next is what's called the 1 to 10 check-in. Do you ever get people when you go and pitch the service and you pitch the price, they just immediately are just giving you tons of different objections, and maybe you didn't feel like they actually were like down and on board with the program first, and you just kind of winged it and threw out the price? This actually prevents that. And in fact, Hormozy, all credit to Hormozy, talks about the 1 to 10 close. This is how you do that. Right before you drop the price of your program, you want to make sure that they're actually on board with the program. Because if they're not, there's no point in dropping the price at that point, right? So what you do is you say, curious, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being this absolutely makes sense, you're ready to rock and roll and move forward, this is great, and 1 being this is not what you're looking for, this was the worst call ever, you hate my guts, let's get off the phone right now, where would you say you're at? And I use a little bit of comedy. Now, when they give me the answer, maybe they won't give you a 10 out of 10 right away. They're going to give you some 8, 9, hopefully it's above an 8, right? Give you an 8 or 9. And what you want to do is first get them to sell themselves on the positive parts that make it that number, right? Because the main intention of this is to understand what's missing to help them. So when they say a 9, I'll be like, oh, okay. What makes it a 9? Like, what do you like about it? And they'll tell you, oh, well, I love the accountability check-ins. I love the fact that I think I'm probably going to get the results, etc. I'd be like, okay, nice. Well, what's kind of the one point holding you back? Like what's not making it a 10 out of 10? Now they'll give you their real concern, and you could just address that. Maybe it was a question about the accountability. Oh, someone else had this, and you just readdress that and be like, oh, well, we actually do have that, right? So that's really important. And also, they might just drop, oh, I don't know the price yet. And then you could be like, oh, no, that's fine. We'll get into that. But price aside, I'm talking the program itself. And they'll be like, oh, yeah, it's a 10 out of 10. So the idea of this is to gauge their interest before you drop the price, understand what's missing so you can incorporate that before dropping the price. And lastly is to also understand is to get them to actually sell themselves on the positives, getting them to actually state verbally aloud like the different things that are working really well or they're really looking forward to is super important. Now, last couple is actually dropping the price. Now, I know you're like, why would you even put this as a separate part in the formula? Because the way you do this is really important. You can't just say a price and do certain things. There is a way to drop the price. The way to do this is to actually get people to buy is to shut up. Drop the price and shut up. Literally. What you want to do is say a price that's going to make them gasp. You should be charging to the point where people are like, that much? Because that's what you're worth. If you genuinely care and you create a kick-ass service, that's exactly what you should do. Drop the price and shut up. Oftentimes, I see so many people drop the price and be like, but remember, you get X, Y, and Z, and I'm going to be there every step of the way, and you can text me 24/7, and I'm going to get blah, blah. No. It sounds like you're not confident in yourself, and you need to justify it. What you need to do is just drop the price and shut up. So, yeah, Mr. Prospect, to get started today with everything that we mentioned is going to be $8K. And just shut up. See what they say. It's going to be an awkward silence, low-key a little bit of a stare-off, but that's okay because you're confident in your service, and you're going to say that. Now, what's really nice is the next step is handle any objections that occur. However, in this process, by doing the 1 to 10 and doing some other tactics that we'll get into, you can actually prevent a lot of objections from even happening. However, I don't care what anyone tells you, the best salespeople in the world still can get objections. Even sometimes your marketing has to do with the lack of objections and your qualification process, your triage call, right? But you're going to get objections. Let's be honest. If you're charging high ticket, you're going to get objections, okay? So here's exactly how to handle those. And this is a lot of value. This is the entire A to Z. Make sure to go back to this. You can take down notes. And also, by the way, if you guys want to actually work with me so I can help you scale your coaching business, consulting, or agency completely on autopilot, there's a link in my bio of this video, the description of this video. You can click that and actually apply to work with me. But let's get back into this. So the biggest thing for objections is instead of just taking it at face value and just getting off the call, you need to understand when people give you objections, you need to listen to what they mean, not what they actually say. What they mean isn't what they actually say. So for example, there's always going to be these specific statements that everyone's going to say. I need to think about it. Can you send me an email? And I need to talk to my partner, wife, or husband. Every single time. I've always gotten these. Now these are called smoke screens. Essentially what this means is it's a layer of smoke in front of their actual concern, because when people get put in a slightly uncomfortable position, it's much easier to deflect blame on something else to rather take matters in their own hands and be honest about the situation. That's how we are as humans. So people just use this as like their easy out. So it's your job to break through this smoke and get to the root reason, because then you can isolate that and actually come up with a solution. So for example, if someone says, I need to think about it, as simple as like, oh yeah, totally, I understand that, man. Curious though, like, what exactly do you need to think about? And maybe that will get you to the actual real reason. Or if they say the email thing, yeah, no, for sure. Listen, you and I both hate long, massive emails with a bunch of random stuff. What exactly do you want me to put right on the top of that email so that way you can look right at it when I send it over? That is going to get them to tell you what they're mainly concerned about. Or if they ask the partner one, be like, yeah, I totally get it. I don't want you sleeping on the couch tonight. Curious, what do you think your wife's going to say? The wife, and they're going to be like, oh, well, my wife's probably going to like it, but she's probably going to say it's too expensive, which is what he's thinking deep down, right? So these are just 3 different ways with the 3 most common smoke screens to just get to what they actually mean behind what they say and not what they just say. So now that you break through that, you're going to have different objections to actually handle. The idea is get them to specifically state what their real concern is. I need to think about it isn't an actual concern. That's a bunch of fluff. That doesn't mean anything. So you need them to tell you their actual real concern. So if someone says the money objection, oh, it's just too expensive, you want to make sure that that's really, really, really the issue, right? We know almost that it's at least money, but like, what about the money? Do they not have it, or are they just scared about it? So what I'd say is, okay, got it. Money aside, would you do it? And they're like, well, yeah. And I'm like, why? And they're gonna tell you why. Oh, because it's really good. It's gonna help me to get to where I want to go. It has the accountability. And I'm like, no, but like, why? Like, what's different for you if you did do this? Like, genuinely. And they're like, oh, well, I'd feel a bit better and stuff. I'm like, okay. So when you say money is the issue, then, like, be honest with me, man. And I appreciate that you've been honest. Is it genuinely like to the point where if you put this money down, you're broke on the street begging for food, you don't have it, or is it the fact that you do have it, but it's just a very uncomfortable decision? And be honest, man. I get it because I've been there. And they're gonna tell you. Now, if they say they genuinely don't have the money, you're going to basically confirm, like, okay, well, if we did find maybe a payment plan or a way where you would actually be able to afford this and still get the ball rolling, is that something you'd like to explore? And if they say yes, you just come up with a payment plan, boom, good to go. Or if they say it's just an uncomfortable decision, you now know that the main biggest objection is they're afraid. They don't know if it's going to work, or they don't know if they're capable. So what you can do is NEPQ, which is Neuro Emotional Program Questioning, through Jeremy Miner. He talks about this a lot. Is simply giving them two different kind of identities to look up to. One that's obviously way better and going to result in a better outcome, and essentially tying it into that exact objection that they gave you. So, for example, if someone says, yeah, it's just a terrifying investment, this is what I always say. Good. I'm genuinely glad that you're terrified right now. I don't even think I would work with you if you weren't. Because what I've noticed, Dave, is every single person that went through with my program and got desired outcome was in your exact same shoes and felt the same way, right? And the fact that you're nervous shows that you actually care about this. But what I did notice, Dave, is there's two kinds of people in this situation that I've spoken to. Option one is someone who's terrified, but takes that fear, runs away from logically what they need to do to get to where they need to go because it's scary, and ends up staying in the same position. Or option number two is the people that I've spoken to, just like you, that actually made it in this program, are the ones that were just as terrified, but used that as the exact reason why they needed to take action, because nothing good comes easy. Nothing great. These people making 70, 80, 90K a month didn't get there by just staying in their comfort zone, right? So the second kind of person is the person that takes that fear and does it anyways because they know it's exactly what they need to do to get to where they need to go. Genuinely, what kind of person do you want to be like? And they're going to be like, well, the second one, of course. I'm like, right. And then you hold up the mirror on them and basically show them like they're in the position now because they don't have that mindset right now. So I'll be like, right, so what have you lost so far by not having that mindset? What have you lost so far by kind of being the person that runs away from this fear? And they're like, oh, well, I guess you're right. I'm in the position where I'm fat and I'm not in great shape. I'm not happy. I'm not there for my wife. I'm not there for my family. I'm like, right. So genuinely, and I'm saying this because I care about you, man. I'm telling you what I wish someone would have told me when I was in your exact same shoes is like, genuinely, the version of yourself 6 months from now, man, that's at desired outcome that they said, that's making the 50K per month and in the great shape and, being there for their family. What would they tell you to do in this situation? Would they tell you to be kind of like the person that runs away from their fear like you have been and kind of stay in where you're at 2, 3, 5 months down the line? Or be like the other person that is afraid, just as afraid, but takes action because they know that's what they need to do to get out of their comfort zone? Like, what would they tell you to do? Shit, Brian, you're right. They would probably tell me to take action. Right. So what should we do? And that's it. And I'd be like, because listen, man, like, I can help you, but what I can't do is I can't make you committed. Like, are you committed to being the person to get to the XYZ outcome? And if they're like, yes, I am committed, and you're essentially going to be like, right, so what should we do? Okay, and then you can close the deal, right? So this is exactly how you handle all these different objections, right? The biggest 3 takeaways is understanding to listen to what people mean, not what they say, is to break through the smoke screens, and then isolate each specific situation and clear that as you go. And you can do that by using some sort of what's called an identity frame. Give them 2 identities to look to, utilizing what that main issue they explained to you is, in the equation and getting them to pretty much realize that they need to act like the one identity because you've worked with other people that felt the same way and those are the ones that got the results and what they've lost by not having that identity. And then what would the version of yourself 6 months from now, genuinely imagine the version of yourself 6 months from now reaches out, puts their hand on your shoulder and says, Brian, what you need to do. Are they going to, is that version of yourself going to tell you to, you know what, run away from this because you're scared? Or are they going to tell you to do the other? And when you say this, it's powerful. And that's why it's important also prior to understand why people want this. It's like genuinely, if you want to get to the position where you're providing for your family, right? Is it smart to run away from this fear? Or you already said you know this works. And I get it. I've been there. But, or is it smarter to, boom, take action? So you can utilize that as well. Now, last thing is, the last step is just close the deal. Right? When you do this, very self-explanatory, very easy, is when you say what they want to do, you just walk them through the payment. So make sure you have your invoice, make sure you have your agreement, and make sure you tell them what the onboarding process is going to look like. You can then send out the onboarding forms. You could start your onboarding and fulfillment pipeline tracking, etc. But one last little thing is if they still say no to all these objections, right? This objection handling process, that they're still saying no, they're still not on board, the last thing that you can do that works really, really well is you could say, all right, listen, man, I get it. And I'm only saying this because I wish someone would have told me this when I was in your exact same shoes. What is scarier? Genuinely, what is scarier? Walking away from this decision, not doing anything like you have been, and 6 months, 6 years, months, whatever down the line, you're still in the same position and not able to provide for your family like you said you would. Or option number 2 is taking the $5,000, investing in yourself with at least having the option and the ability, the percentage to actually get to where you want to go, even though I have it guaranteed. Like if you have a guarantee, you could say that. And you're like, the two options, one, you have no chance of getting there by doing nothing. And option number 2 is you have a chance to get there. Like testimonial, testimonial, and testimonial. I get it. So what's scarier, man? Waiting 6 months from now and not doing anything, or investing the $5K into yourself now to get to the point where you're making the $50K per month and providing for your wife like you said you would? What's scarier, man? And that one can work as well. Show them the cost of inaction versus the price. The idea is we want people to be on results-based thinking. You don't want them to, you need to understand what they actually mean, not what they're saying. And I'll do a whole other video, an entire other video about objection handling, way more in depth to really break this down. But this is the entire high-level overview of the framework. Now, the common mistakes that I always see people do is one is expert dumping. Like we mentioned, when it comes time to talk about your deliverables, you have to realize these people don't understand as much information as you do. So explaining everything in this super scientific way of how people get results by hypertrophy and the marketing funnels and the blah, blah, the analytics, they don't care about that. So remember, remove yourself from the expertise and say what they want to hear, not what you just know they need. Okay? The second thing is giving the price too early and assuming that you're going to work with them. For example, the minute you get on a call, someone's like, yeah, man, like, listen, let's just run through this. Like, how much do you charge? And I'm not going to tell them. And the reason is because I don't know if I can help them yet. If you haven't asked them the diagnosis questions in the beginning and built this gap, you don't even know if you can help them, right? You'd be salesy to expect that you're able to help them. So I like to say this, listen, man, again, I'm only taking on a couple people. I don't even know if this makes sense to work together. I've got some different options ranging from $100 a month, some that are $10K a month. Genuinely, I'm not going to waste your time. I don't want to waste mine. I'll just ask you some questions. I'll figure out what is going to make the best sense. And if we do decide to work together, I'll get right into that. But honestly, man, given right now, I don't even know if I can help you yet. There. That shows that you care. That shows that you value their time, value your time, your prices range, and you genuinely don't know yet because you don't understand what it is that they need help with, right? And that usually gets over it. And the last thing is with the report and the pre-frame is, again, like I said, so many people spend way too much time building report, talking about the weather. It's just salesy. Be yourself. Genuinely connect with them. I fell out of my chair one time on a sales call because I sneezed so hard and the wheel broke. And before I went on to the next call, I was just laughing. He's like, dude, what's funny? I was like, dude, I was just on another call onboarding someone and I literally just sneezed and ate shit. And they were dying laughing. But that's myself and I was being honest and it was funny, right? That was my report building. I was just showing that I'm human, right? And then I got into the pre-frame. Now, one big bonus tip, guys, if you're in business to business, a lot of salespeople, people that you're going to be on the phone with or the Zoom call with, understand a lot of this process, right? So one thing you can do to lower sales resistance with people that are business to business, like if you ever get on the call and you can just tell they know sales and everything's just not going well, the biggest thing you can do is call out the elephant in the room, saying, listen, man, Dave, me and you are both in sales. I'm not going to hit you with the whole pre-frame and report building and all that. I genuinely don't want to waste our time. I'm just going to ask you some questions and then figure out if this is a good fit. Sounds good? What did I just do? I just did a pre-frame, but saying I'm not doing a pre-frame, right? And that lowers their sales resistance. So on sales all the time, hey, man, I know we're both in sales. I'm not going to hit you with the whole pre-frame, and then boom, proceed to hit them with the pre-frame. And it just lowers their sales resistance so much. They respect it more, and they move forward with it. So, guys, again, that's our entire 7-figure sales call formula, right? Make sure to follow this pretty much step by step. There are scripts for this. There's even more formulas. I'll go over specific videos if you guys want on every single situation within this. But genuinely, the aspects in this formula have helped me and my clients generate over $2 million online. So it works, and you can see it anywhere. I picked apart different parts from masterminds, seminars, from personal experience, hopping on different calls. Biggest thing is follow these steps. Understand why you're doing each of the things within this. I'll have a Google Doc posted below this video as well that has all of this in there. And the last thing, if you guys want, just comment the word demo. And what I'll do is I'll personally pick one of you guys to analyze one of your sales calls. And I'll try to run it through this formula to see what you could have done differently to actually close the deal. So just DM me the word demo. And again, if you guys want to apply to work with me, just click the link in the description, apply, and I'll see you guys in the next video.